Hello, everybody. This is Gerald Celente, and we are honored and privileged to have with us again Judge Andrew Napolitano on December 7th, 2022, a man of peace, freedom, liberty, justice, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that's been taken away from us, robbed from us, and a man that knows the Constitution and the Bill of Rights upside down, inside out, the facts of what the founding fathers wanted for we, the people of the United States, that have been taken away from us. Judge, thanks so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Gerald. Thank you for having me.
Judge, there's all this news which isn't news. Let's go back to what they call news. Remember what happened with this guy Johnny Depp and somebody heard that I never heard about?
It was one of the most disgusting trials in the modern era, and the press just printed every crazy, foul thing that each one accused the other of having done.
And that's what they call news.
Yeah,
that's what they call news. It's crap that they shove down our throat. And of course, that's why people subscribe to the Trends Journal. We're real journalists, and we give you facts, information without putting a spin on it. And we wouldn't cover a piece of useless crap like that that's not going to make any difference in your life. And the same thing is going on right now, but it does make a difference in our life in talking about a piece of nobody that only, one bad rap would care about. And that's this guy Kanye West, or it's Ye West now, or West to East. I don't know who he is, but I know who he is, but I could care less about it. But the big issue, of course, is that what he's speaking about and how he's speaking about it, and should he be speaking about it, and do we have a right to protect the hate speech that he allegedly is speaking about?
Well, he's saying he admires the Nazis and he loves Hitler. Now, that, of course, is the third rail in the American public square. He touched the third rail by saying that. I wrote my piece, Protecting the Speech We Hate, because hate speech is protected. I'm not a fan of his. I don't pursue rap music. I asked them to lower it when I'm in the gym. I tried to get them to put Beethoven on once. They thought I was crazy. He has made himself a billionaire with this rap music amongst a class of people that likes it. And then suddenly he's come out with this pro-Nazi, pro-Hitler stuff. So it is these hard cases. It is this offensive language. It is this hate speech that tests the First Amendment, because there are people that want to silence him. And I argue that just as you can think what you want, you can say what you think, no matter what it is. That's America. This is your natural right to say what you want, and the government can't take that away from you. Private bulletin boards can. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, who just bought Twitter so that there would be no sanctions on it, just kicked Alex Jones off and now kicked this fellow Ye off because of the content of their speech. The government can't punish you because of the content of your speech. The First Amendment says that, but a private bulletin board can. Is the private bulletin board doing the government's bidding? If it is, then the First Amendment protects you. If it's not, if it's truly private, they can kick off whoever they want. I got kicked off of TikTok for 5 days because I argued that the federal government's prosecution of Stuart Rhodes, the head of the Oath Keepers, for a conspiracy to overthrow the government of the United States. They charged 5 people with conspiracy to overthrow the government of the United States. It would be impossible for the 5 to do that. So I argued that a conspiracy that is impossible to carry out should not form the basis of a prosecution. It's a waste of the government's time and resources. TikTok said, you're encouraging violence. You're out for 5 days. We appealed it. I lost the appeal. Now you have the other extreme. Now you have the state of South Dakota, run by conservative Republicans, who are banning TikTok. They're saying to people that live in South Dakota, you can't log on to this in the privacy of your own home. That is just as bad. That is the government telling people what to read and watch and listen to, and the First Amendment prevents the government from doing that.
You know, you're talking, going back to this, about this guy talking about Hitler and how he likes Hitler. You know, there's a place that most people never knew anything about up until this year called Ukraine. And they had a group over there called the Azovs that were very pro-Hitler. And now they're renaming the streets and after the people of that Azov group, that Hitler group in Ukraine. But so it's okay for that Hitler group to say and do what they want, and the American people supporting them. But this other guy can't talk about that he's a Hitler fan.
So the group you're talking about is not only a political group, according to our friend and colleague, Scott Ritter, it's a military group. It's a rogue military group that doesn't comport with the authority of the state, but it does receive American dollars. And when Vladimir Putin says he's fighting Nazis, with respect to this group, he literally is fighting Nazis.
Yeah.
And to make it even more absurd, you and I, because we're of a certain age group, we like to read the Financial Times, you know, the famous salmon-colored newspaper. And some of their editorials used to be great. However, they just named Vladimir Zelensky the person of the year. And here's what they said about him. Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky has embodied the resilience of his people. He has ensured Western unity and become a standard bearer for liberal democracy in the contest with authoritarianism. He's the most corrupt authoritarian leader in the Western world today. They have it exactly 180 degrees wrong because they subscribe to that same Anthony Blinken, Klaus Schwab mentality. We got to get Putin. Here's our chance to push him out and liberate Russia. We have to go around the world looking for monsters to slay. You and I, Phil Giraldi and Scott Ritter, talked about this at your rally for peace last July in that beautiful garden just a few yards from where you're seated now. When we go around the world spreading democracy, we don't spread democracy, we spread violence. And that's what's happening in Ukraine.
The clown show of what the media has become. Time magazine, which is no time at all, it's last week's news next week, a piece of useless crap. At one time, it served a purpose, decades.
Well, one time it was at the top of the heap. I didn't even know it's around anymore.
Yeah. Well, guess what? You know who
did they name
the
this person of the year? Who did they name?
Zelensky.
Oh. Well, I mean,
again, this is totally going back to what you talk about hate speech. Our freedom, our justice, this is one big propaganda network. They go after who they want to go after, build up who they want to build up. And it's like George Carlin said, it's one big club and you ain't in it. And the club is Murder, Inc. That's better known as Washington, D.C.
Well, Washington, D.C. is supplying $60 billion. Biden wants to get another $37 billion authorized before the Republicans take control of the House. I don't know what he's worried about there. The Republicans are behind this as much as Democrats, but he wants another $37 billion now. So this money goes into a pot, and then he dispenses it. It's not spent all at once, but he wants enough to spend for his remaining 2 years in office in case he has a problem with the House of Representatives. And every time this comes up, Rand Paul in the Senate and Thomas Massie in the House make a very rational proposal. Okay, let's have an audit. Let's have somebody over there working for the US government who can certify how the money's being spent.